Hello, dear friends. They no longer need to implant you a chip with facial recognition technology against which some critical voices are being raised because of the misuse that can be made of it. Opinion piece. The boss is watching you. It's George Orwell's Big Brother. Thinking for yourself is considered treason. Describe a nightmarish world without freedom. Dangers of facial recognition technology. UK data watchdog warns. Rising fees reach all banks. Banks' situation is becoming increasingly complex. Belgian city of Liège falls victim to cyber attack. Commonwealth Bank suffers major disruption. Tracking in the US reduced to a minimum. Possible food shortages due to British trucker crisis. National Guard simulates cyber attack on public services. Tycoon John McAfee's widow denies husband committed suicide. Spanish doctors without borders aid worker murdered in Ethiopia. Let's start. Big Brother watches you. He watches what you do. He watches who you meet. He watches your work. He watches your reactions. He watches your gestures. He listens to what you talk. He listens to what you listen to. He listens even your whispers. Close quotes. This is how the characters in George Orwell's novel 1984, published in 1950, live. It describes a paranoia taken to its ultimate consequences. Where would privacy go? The cat ate it. The dystopian story presents us with a hypothetical future society, whether either by the dehumanization of it or by a totalitarian government or by the intrusive control exercised by technology on the day-to-day. Individualism is degraded in absolute terms in favor of single thinking and unitary society. In short, a nightmarish world where no one must break the rules or risk being annihilated. In this story, technology and the state have taken over people's freedom. All the inhabitants of the city imagined by Orwell live day and night under the watchful eye of a dictator called Big Brother. Sentimental relationships between party members are forbidden, and sex must be stripped of all pleasure, used only for procreation. The only relatively free citizens are the proletariat, the lower class, since the prevailing totalitarian system considers them animals. Therefore, they are given freedom to do whatever they want. They are policed just the same by the thought police, but with less rigor. If you fail the party, you will be eliminated in a purge. No one will miss you, or if they do, they will keep quiet. They erase all traces of you on earth. Your traces of your passage throughout the world are erased forever. Definition. Big Brother, known in English, the same name. It's a mistake. Big Brother is a character from George Orwell's novel 1984, written in 1949, and therefore also from the movies of the same name based on that novel. Although no one knows him, the presence of the Big Brother is a constant throughout the novel, appearing constantly throughout the telescreens in the strong propaganda of the single party INSOC and in huge murals in every corner of the society described by Orwell. The existence of the Big Brother is enigmatic, as he never appears in person or his real name is never mentioned, being simply an invention by the party to be used as a propaganda weapon to instill confidence in the population, as well as fear and respect. To create this character, Orwell was inspired by totalitarian leaders characterized by installing a policy of fear and extreme reverence for his person, educating the population throughout intensive government propaganda in collectivist values, where thinking individually is seen as a betrayal of society. He is especially reminiscent of rulers of communism and fascism, such as Stalin and Hitler, with Stalin in particular bearing the most similarity to the character in the novel. Due to the fame of the novel, the name of this character is frequently used to refer to authoritarian governments or governments that excessively monitor their citizens, as well as the control over information they exercise. It is also used to refer to people or organizations that exercise surveillance that is perceived as excessive or dangerous or invasive of privacy. Facial recognition. Every step we take could be monitored and analyzed if facial recognition technology is not controlled. The head of the UK's Information Commissioner's Office has raised the alarm over potential abuses of facial recognition software, after several investigations found that the technology was not being applied correctly. UK Information Commissioner Elizabeth Denham noted in a blog post published on Friday that facial recognition technology can be harnessed to make our lives more efficient and secure, but said there was a clear danger that it could be misused. Live facial recognition technology is capable of scanning people's faces in real time as they walk down the street or enter a store, but can be used inappropriately, excessively, or even recklessly, in quotes. The head of the UK data watchdog said, "Nothing that significant consequences could result if sensitive personal data was collected on a mass scale without people even knowing they were being watched. We should be able to take our children to a leisure complex, visit a shopping mall, or walk around the city to see the sights without our biometric data being collected and analyzed with every step we take." Alarm bells ringing at banks. The rise of commissions reaches the banks. The situation of the banks is becoming more and more complex due to the application of measures that seek to raise commissions enormously, such as the increase of the commission for the maintenance of a current account, which could affect the economy of thousands of clients. However, it is very difficult to have a bank account that is free of commissions, especially with the health crisis that has occurred, where banks seek to have better economic solvency due to the decrease in their profits last year, according to the consulting firm Foster Swiss. According to the Austrian theory of the business cycle, the boom-bust cycle arises in response to a deviation in the market interest rate from the natural rate of interest, or the equilibrium interest rate. It is argued that the main cause of this deviation is the increase in the money supply. Based on this, a gold standard would seem justified. Commonwealth Bank suffers major outage. Commonwealth Bank appears to be suffering its second major service disruption in a week. The bank said on Wednesday at around 13:40 that there was a problem affecting some of its merchant systems and that they were investigating the problem urgently. Customers have reported that they were also having difficulty logging into NetBank's website, mobile app, and some ATMs that were offline. Eurozone advocates maintaining support for the economy despite greater optimism. Eurozone heads of state and government advocate maintaining fiscal support for the economy in 2021 and 2022 despite greater optimism about the European recovery thanks to the takeoff of the European Union Reconstruction Fund. Reset news. Britain could face food shortages due to lorry driver crisis. Britain could face gaps on supermarket shelves this summer due to a shortage of more than 100,000 HGV drivers caused by a combination of the fallout from the health crisis and Brexit, industry leaders have warned. Trucking in the US has slowed to a crawl. Southern California highways were virtually free of 18-wheelers. There were typically millions of trucks and truck drivers on US highways at any given time. It was speculated that the coalition wanted its trucks and workers temporarily off the road as much as possible before military operations began. All subway tunnels were being flooded. As of Wednesday, June 23rd, an extreme sweep was underway in Switzerland. AP, Reuters and Fox News confirmed on Tuesday that the seizure of dozens of new websites linked to Iran. The Justice Department was supposed to make an announcement shortly. X22 report. The economy is now beginning to crumble. This exposes centralized banking because they have no story to cover up their system when it implodes. The central banks have just told the world their plan. They want everyone to use their digital currency. The dark side is panicking now because they know the world is about to learn the truth and they need to stop this from coming out. They will cross the red line and push. General Flynn confirmed this, saying that they will have to do something before the polling information is released. The good guys already know, and that's why there are countermeasures. Something big is about to go down, and the dark side will try to stop it with fake news. General Michael Flynn, in quotes, "The end is near. They fear us. They panic. The truth is about to come out. Enjoy the show. Prepare yourselves. It is the birth of a new nation and a new world." Yesterday was very quiet and there was not much news. The silence is good, as people are told to be quiet to do this. All that was said is that they want this completed and they are working feverishly to complete it and get the final lunch. I understand that all the issues were worked out and they were having meetings to implement it. This is a transition, not a transaction. Never give up. Community thought. I am not impressed by your looks, your money, your social status, or your position. I am impressed only by the way you treat other human beings. Close quotes. National Guard simulates cyber attack that takes down utilities across the country. National Guard members just completed a 2-week training exercise that saw them respond to a simulated cyber attack that took down critical services across the US. The exercises have become an annual event, but this year took on even more significance after several major cyber and ransomware attacks crippled much of the US infrastructure in recent months. Belgian city of Liège falls victim to cyber attack. A massive cyber attack in the Belgian city of Liège has restricted the operations of several online services, and access to the city's system is still partially unavailable. Short news. Praying for a miracle. Family and friends of the 159 people missing after a condominium building collapsed in Miami suburbs clung to hope Friday as rescuers shifted through a mountain of debris for signs of life, having found 4 dead until now. Senator calls for Canada to be placed on list of religious freedom violators for detaining pastors. Senator Josh Hawley on Thursday appealed to the International Religious Freedom Commission to consider adding Canada to its special watch list, along with countries such as Afghanistan, Cuba, and Iraq, in response to the arrest of Canadian priests who held services in alleged violation of restrictions. Sanctions on Venezuela are priced down. After almost 4 years of sanctions on Venezuela by the European Union, which have brought an economic blockade that has accentuated the economic crisis and worsened the humanitarian crisis, the European Court of Justice ruled this week that the Caribbean country has the right to challenge them. Russia wants NATO. Russia threatens to start shelling Western warships that sail too close to Crimea, while complaining that naval exercises in the Black Sea could lead to a real conflict with NATO powers. Boris Johnson made a decision on the passage of the British destroyer near Crimea. The final decision on the passage of the British destroyer HMS Defender throughout Russian territorial waters near the Crimean coast was made by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and was communicated to the ship's command 2 days before the incident. The Telegraph newspaper publishes quoting a source in the European country's Ministry of Defence. MiG-31K fighters equipped with hypersonic missiles carry out maneuvers in the Mediterranean. The exercises, which began on Friday, coincide with the navigation of a British Navy strike group in the same area. The Russian Defense Ministry released images Friday showing exercises by Russian military aircraft in the eastern Mediterranean. Doubts about the McAfee case. The widow of Tycoon John McAfee denies that her husband committed suicide. The controversy over the death of Tycoon John McAfee continues. According to sources informed by the newspaper El País, the creator of the antivirus would have left a suicide note in the pocket of his pants. However, McAfee's wife has rejected the possibility that her husband committed suicide, said he had no suicidal tendencies, and blamed the US. Earlier this week, the Spanish National Court agreed to his extradition, but the decision was not final. Said John McAfee, if anything, in quotes, if anything happens to me, I have dead man's switches all over the place. His dead man's switch has not been activated yet. We will soon find out if he is really dead or if he managed to escape from prison under the guise of a suicide. McAfee released a video in July 2020 appealing to the dark side. A week later, a warrant was issued for his arrest and he was detained in Spain. Less than a year later, he is found dead in a prison cell, as are many others. He said the information would be sent publicly if anything happened to him. John McAfee has been a controversial figure in recent years, sort of like Elon Musk, where it was hard to tell whose side he was on. Some people don't believe he died, that he's safe because he has key information to share, and I think he is safe and will come out in the buying time. I don't think the white hats will allow a key asset to go down the drain. A Spanish aid worker for Medicines Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, has been murdered in Ethiopia. The NGO Medicines Sans Frontières has reported the murder of a Spanish aid worker in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. Maria Hernandez, 35 years, from Madrid, was found dead in the Tigray region, located in the north of the country, near the border with Eritrea. Along with her, the lifeless bodies of two of her companions in the African country were found. The three were found near her car, according to the organization which condemns the attack. The euthanasia law comes into force in Spain. From Friday, assisted death is now available in Spain. The requirement is to have a serious and incurable disease and to suffer constant and intolerable suffering. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.